Hello, ladies and gentlemen, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to Strategic Command, a new turn-based strategy and war game made by Fury Software and published by Matrix and Slytherin Games. Now, if you recall, last time around in our second episode, this is our third, we conquered Warsaw, and we fully expect Poland to surrender. We've driven far into the east of Poland, probably further than we should, given the territory that we're going to get from the Poles, since we have to split Poland with Russia. But nonetheless, we've driven far to the east in Poland, and Poland is about to fall. They haven't surrendered yet, only because we haven't ended our turn. Now, if we remember, we ended mid-turn last time around, so we had pretty much done everything we could in this turn, the turn of November 16th, 1939. So really, there's not much more to do other than maybe spend some of our money. We've already spent our money on Italy, so you can see here our conquering forces are, in Poland right now, and we could, no, actually we can't. And we've reinforced some of them, but we're going to have to start shifting them west to deal with France soon. In addition to that, as Italy, we've reinforced our border. We've moved an army to the border of France. We have 3 units here along the border, 2 corps of infantry, 1 of armor. We have an army unit moving west as well. And then I think I've started to upgrade some of our air and bomber units as well. Meanwhile, actually, that's a convoy route that's active right now, isn't that? Well, they're not at war yet, so I guess it doesn't make sense. Meanwhile, in the Atlantic, we have various ships along the British supply convoy routes. You can see here we've got a Deutschland-class heavy cruiser, and we've got a submarine, the U-30. We've also started moving some other assets into the area. So we've got 1 sub that's almost astride the Canadian convoy routes, and we've got 1 sub that we pulled back to repair in Germany. Doesn't look like I can repair that. I think I just moved that. We also won a minor battle against the British in the North Atlantic. I'm not sure how they're going to respond, but we destroyed a British destroyer with the loss of only half of one of our own destroyer groups. Now the concern with that is if the British counter and send a large portion of their fleet east to Norway, we could end up in a naval engagement that I'd rather avoid. But if they don't, then at the very least we've weakened, we've got another sub up here as well, we've weakened their anti-submarine force with the destruction of one of their destroyer flotillas. Really, though, we are ready for the end of our turn, so that's what we're going to go ahead and do. I don't think there's anything else to do yet. We do have a bit of money, but I'm going to save that until after I've reinforced all of these units, and then we'll look at buying some new troops. If we do go to the purchase category and we check out the production schedule, we don't have anything coming out till February or January of next year, so right now we're stuck with the forces that we have. With all that being said, let's go ahead and end the turn and see what the AI does. So you see Polish morale collapses from the loss of Warsaw, and we have a decision to make. Führer Hauptquartier. Our offensive against Poland has been a great success, and the Polish army has been decisively defeated. Molotov, the Soviet foreign minister, is now urging us to pull back to our previously agreed partition lines and honor the non-aggression pact with the USSR. If we say yes to honoring the pact, then we will gain imports from the USSR worth 25 MPPs a turn. If we say no, we will lose these imports, and the USSR will swing 20 to 30% toward the Allies as we push the Red Army out of Poland. Should we honor the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact and cede eastern Poland to the USSR? So this is what I was talking about earlier. Basically, these portions of Poland we're going to have to give back to Russia, even though we've conquered them. However, I don't think it's really worth losing the Russians in terms of a 20 to 30% swing toward the Allies. We can really only afford a western front at the moment with the army that we currently have. If we do give up, if we do conquer eastern Poland, we won't have the opportunity to annex Lithuania in the spring of 1940 either. So I think clearly, this is a decision, but it's not a very interesting decision in my opinion. I don't think there's 25 MPPs worth of production and value in eastern Poland by itself, so we'll go ahead and say yes. Poland surrenders. Germany plunders 350 MPPs. Germany occupies western Poland, and the USSR occupies eastern Poland. So you see that line cuts deep into Poland, into a lot of the territories that we just ceded. Meanwhile, the Soviet Union's decided to give some of the land to Lithuania, and we've had some success. So that we've been investing 25% our entire diplomatic budget into Bulgaria, and Bulgaria has swung 11% in the Axis favor. You can see here now we have 25 imports from the USSR, which increases our overall budget by a bit. And Italy's budget looks slightly higher, but not noticeably. So into the calculating supply phase. And just keeping this in mind, these are still the early days of the war. There are probably going to be some really slow turns where I'm just not really sure what to do or what to say. And I may end up kind of doing some historical discussions. Uh-oh, enemy contact. British destroyers versus our cruisers. So we can consider this like the Battle of River Plate, where the British have attacked our pocket battleship, the Deutschland, at sea. And if it's only that one naval engagement, then it's not a very decisive movement. I would hope the AI would send more troops against us, if it knows what it's doing. French morale suffers from the fall of Poland. Germany celebrates victory over Poland and the return of Danzig. Okay, so that's good for our national morale, bad for the French. France increases industrial mobilization for the war effort. Okay. Axis raiders disrupt British Empire UK convoys. And the USSR has invaded Finland. So the Winter War has begun, and Soviet aggression against Finland causes widespread anger in the West. And it looks like we're getting into the winter months, so we conquered Poland just in time. You can see here the British lost 13 MPPs from our U-30. Führerhauptquartier. Now that the Polish campaign is over, we have an opportunity to adjust the details of some of the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. It is proposed that we offer to transfer Lithuania from our sphere of influence to that of the USSR's. While this would enable the Soviets to occupy the country in due course, in return we would ask the USSR to withdraw eastwards from along the Vistula-Sands River line to the Bug-Sands River line. This would put a much better position to attack the fortress of Brest-Litovsk when we invade the USSR. If Stalin approves this proposal, and he may not, then it would also move the Allies 5%, or the USSR 5% away from the Allies. Okay. So basically we'd be giving up, I believe, our ability to annex Lithuania if we do that. Okay, that's already happened. Okay, so I'd say yes. I'm willing to try and get a little bit more of Eastern Poland so that we're a little bit further east. We had some troops east. I don't know if those automatically moved west or if we lost certain troops. I probably should have paid attention. I'm not sure if we lost any of those troops that were in Eastern Poland or how the game addressed that. I would hope we didn't lose anything, but I'm not really sure. So we're going to go ahead and reinforce our Stukas. And we'll reinforce these Stukas. It's going to be expensive. We've got 900 resources to do all of this. We probably should upgrade some of these forces too. But for the moment, we'll just upgrade them. You can see here they're losing a bit of their experience by us upgrading, but we don't appear to have elite reinforcements as an option. Can I reinforce these guys? No, elite reinforcements are not an option. I'm not sure why. Okay. Alright, so it looks like we've reinforced everybody. Now I think we need to start moving some of our forces west. I don't want to move everything because obviously we don't want to surrender certain ability, certain rights to the Soviets, but I am going to move the majority of our air west. So we'll put some fighters south near Stuttgart. We'll put our other fighter unit. You see it costs money to move these guys, by the way. Kind of south of Frankfurt. So we've got 3 fighter groups protecting over our front line. The Stuttgarts were reinforced, so we can't move them. We will go ahead and move our bombers into Where do we want to move them? I say we'll move them to Frankfurt. And I'd like to move an army group. So we'll go ahead and move an army group. Von Rundstedt's HQ will move into Stuttgart, so along the sort of standard French border. Probably not where we invade, but nonetheless. We have a lot of corps here in the east, but I can't operationally move any of these. Oh, we want to upgrade our tanks. Okay, and then can we upgrade these guys? No. So I've got a lot of core units here. I'm gonna probably principally move the armies, but we're gonna move a few of these cores as well operationally. Doesn't look like we can reinforce these guys. We can't upgrade them. Their mobility and infantry weapons. So you can see here we've spent a lot of our money already. Most of what we plundered has been spent. Before we forget about it, let's go out to the Atlantic. So, oh, this is a British light cruiser, actually. It's Southampton class. Okay. Do we want to attack? Oh, shit. So, there's also some French destroyers over here. That's not good. Can we change their... No, we can't. Okay, so we've got more subs moving in. Meanwhile, the enemy has some destroyers and cruisers facing off against us. I'm going to kind of pull... Oh my god! No! Okay, so the British have some light cruisers and destroyers here dealing with our ships. Turn off raider mode. Alright, well hopefully we don't lose that warship. Meanwhile, we're going to pull the rest of our navy back to Deutsch... Oh no! God damn, they're surprising me! Alright, what is this? It's a destroyer. We should be able to destroy these things, right? Apparently they're just surprising us. But they're doing a bit of damage, too. Apparently you can only shoot once, but you can move multiple times. I don't want to attack with him yet. Can I torpedo the bastard? Apparently not, or at least it wouldn't be advisable. Man, the British destroyers are much better than ours, I guess. Okay, so we've at the very least badly damaged another British destroyer section, the Javelin. We haven't sunk it. We have lost some damaged ships. But that's pretty much our navy involved in a fight I didn't really want. I'm not gonna have my sub attack it. That's a bad idea. So we've got a little naval furball over here. Hopefully the enemy doesn't have enough forces to destroy us in the region, but I may have to pull these guys back a bit. I thought I was dealing with just a lone enemy cruiser and I could bring the sub in and have the battleship all deal with it. As it turns out, there's 2 light cruisers and a destroyer, becoming more and more like the Battle of River Plate every day. Meanwhile, on the Italian front, we're going to go ahead and continue our operations to reinforce these units and get them up to strength. I believe we upgraded this guy to a modern fighter. So our air units are in the process of upgrading. Continue moving this infantry into position by, you know, kind of slow, tedious progress. I should have actually moved the bombers up here to try and get into position to deal with von Bock, von Kluche. Alright, we're going to put von Bock in Dusseldorf. He'll probably help lead the roll through the Low Countries. And we'll actually move one more unit to the French. Actually, let's do this. So I want to put troops on the border with France. Ah! I didn't want to do that. That was dumb. I'm dumb. Okay. That's what I wanted to do. So again, we don't have troops directly on the border. The French could move through there, but whatever. I kind of wish there was an undo button. Like if you don't unveil something via fog of war or something like that, you get an option to undo an action. So we'll leave one headquarters unit in Poland. We'll probably station a few of these units along the border with Poland. Maybe this guy will be here. I'm not going to put something on the Lithuanian border at this time. We're going to move our armor out of this area altogether to the French border. And then maybe a couple of corps along the Russian border, but I'm just kind of hoping that the Russians don't get too frisky. Let's go ahead and take a look at the diplomacy section. You saw that Bulgaria swung 11% toward the Axis. So they're now... we got one chit back, it looks like, as well, diplomatically. Bulgaria is now at 81% access. 20% chance per turn that they swing our direction. USSR has fallen from a starting value of 22% behind the Allies to only 11%, so that's good for us. The US is down to 16% because of the British decision to do some stuff in Ireland. 80% Hungary for us, 60% Romania. Yugoslavia is 45%. I don't know if I'm going to have Italy attack Yugoslavia or not. I don't think it's worth spending money to try and increase Hungary, so I'm actually just gonna keep the efforts up on Bulgaria. I feel like focused diplomacy is a better use of your time than only a 5% chance of a small swing in your favor. So hopefully a couple more turns and we can get Bulgaria fully behind the Axis. Okay, I think that about does it for this turn. Trying to think of any other units that we really need to move. These guys, we can't adjust their properties yet. These guys I want to keep around our battleships. Actually, can I pull these guys back? No, those guys have moved. Used their maximum movement up. Okay, we'll go ahead and end the turn in December of 1939. We'll see what happens here. Hopefully no more naval action in the North Sea. Allies are disrupting our convoys. The USSR is expelled from the League of Nations following its attack on Finland. The Graf Spee is scuttled following the Battle of River Plate. Gone with Wind is released in the U.S. cinemas. I don't know what... So I'm really hoping Graf Spee was off map in the South Atlantic. I'm not sure. I guess we'll find out shortly. USSR pulls back from the Vistula. Okay, so they concede this portion of Poland to us, which is nice. British destroyers are pulling back. Hopefully not to be replaced by heavier forces. Nope. Canadians' destroyers are attacking us. No! British aircraft carriers! God damn it. Oh no! Stay alive! This is not the Battle of Jutland that I want. We just lost a destroyer unit. Oh my good God. Please, no more. I can't take it. I'm punch drunk. And, of course, the Royal Navy pulls out before our subs can attack their capital ships. Bastards. I need better air reconnaissance. The IRA attacks Dublin. Phoenix Park Magazine Fort. I don't know what any of this means. I mean, are these just random events that have no bearing on the actual game, or do these do something? I'm not quite sure. Does it pull resources away? So we lost a destroyer. Our battleships got beat to hell. Our battle cruisers. We're gonna pull these guys back into German ports so they can get to work repairing. We didn't lose all of our destroyers. So those guys are back in port. Heavy cruiser, we'll try and torpedo it. Heavy cruiser should not be able to counter a destroyer. I'm sorry, it's not attacking on the surface. Meanwhile, this guy over here got beat up pretty bad. Try and get the Deutschland heavy cruiser back to German ports. Meanwhile, we're going to have the U-30 attack British supply lines. The U-32 will also attack British supply lines now. And so will the U-35. So we're going to have 2 subs on the Canadian convoy route. Hopefully this will distract the British from trying to hunt down our cruiser. You can see here the weather is turned for the worse. God damn, that's going to be a lot of money to repair our ships. But at least they didn't sink any of the battleships. That's all I've really got. Okay, let's pull our armor to the western front. Operationally move these guys. We're going to kind of follow history and probably do a low country sweep. So I'm going to move my armor to kind of be an armored fist, hopefully moving through these forests. I'll also pull this unit back because that's an army unit. Gonna pretty much pull all of the actual army units toward the western front. Maybe we'll attack Norway. I guess we'll see. I don't think my dive bombers have the range to do much out here. So we'll keep these guys on the French front. I'm spending like all my money to reposition my forces. Okay. Can we operate these guys? Yes, we can. Operate these guys as well. Okay, so let's move. The army is going to move into Warsaw. We'll have a garrison unit in Molden. We'll have 2 corps kind of on this Russian frontier here. We'll have the Slovak corps. Is that the proper terminology? Slovenian. Troops here. 1 corps here. And actually, these troops should probably go back. I think this is their home territory. So we'll have these guys switch. One there. One here and here. So that'll be a little bit of a weak border, actually a very weak border if the Russians decide to do anything, but you know, we're hoping that our relations with them are good enough where we don't have to worry about that. So we're stripping our eastern front pretty heavily. Just a token force remaining, which is fine, I think, for now. And that leaves us with 134. If we go to diplomacy, no chits available. Still working on Bulgaria, which is interesting. That may not make the most sense. Romania would make more sense. Or this is Budapest. That's Hungary would make more sense. Bulgaria down here is kind of isolated if they join us. Oh, I didn't realize the Italians had troops in Albania. I mean, I knew they had Albania, but I didn't know. No. Transport. So we're putting these guys on amphibious transports. No. Why can they only move 1 hex? Huh. That was a waste of money. I'm going to move these guys to the French border then as well. I don't really know what I'm doing with some of these transport options, obviously. Can we... These guys have no reinforcement ability. You know, we'll just fly these bombers north. And these fighters. We're not going to pay to operationally move them. Okay, so what we may want to do is pull one unit out of Albania, leave the core, and pull an army unit out of Albania so we can have 2 full armies on the border with France, as well as 2 corps and... Actually, yeah, 2 corps, 2 full armies, and an armored unit, so we can drive towards southern France. That's kind of going to be our objective. So we've dramatically strengthened the French border. I guess the question is what we'll end up doing with Norway. But for the time being, I think that's all we're going to do this turn as well. So let's go ahead and progress into 1940. Still haven't purchased any units. France continues to increase its mobilization. The USSR steps up its military production. And Germany paratroopers deploy at Hamburg. Okay, so that's that unit that we had decided not to... Irish Republican imprisons hundreds of IRA activists. So that's the unit we decided not to expedite their development. Why aren't we getting any resources from Sweden? Huh. Income's down a bit there. We have to spend substantial resources rebuilding our fleet. That was a disastrous naval action. Lost national morale points from losing a destroyer, gave the British a bonus, and then also had our battle fleet crippled without doing too much damage to the British. Polish destroyers, by the way. If I had Denmark, I could get these guys with air. That would be nice. Huh. Okay. Axis raiders disrupt UK convoys with Canada and Egypt. Good. Okay, so the British lost some 31 industrial points. The hull of our proposed aircraft carrier, Graf Zeppelin, is currently awaiting completion. Completing it as an aircraft carrier will cost us 200 MPPs at 25 a turn for 8 turns and will be ready in January of 1940. Would you like to continue production with the aircraft carrier? Let's see here. Whether it's better to continue working on the Graf Zeppelin as an aircraft carrier or to save the MPPs and use them elsewhere depends on your overall strategy and whether you can afford the cost of deploying it as an aircraft carrier. If you say yes, then it could serve as in either the Baltic or Atlantic, providing long-range air support and reconnaissance to our vessels. The Germans did have 2 carriers in production in the late 1930s. The other being planned was intended to be called Peter Strasser, but neither were ever finished. Now, I don't know if having a carrier will really be beneficial to us. But I don't think 200 MPPs is a lot of money. It'll be done for 8 turns. It will be ready in January. So it won't be ready for 2 years. If it would be ready sooner, then I would say yes, because it would help a lot with the attack on Norway. But if it's not going to be ready for 8 turns, I mean, it's not going to be ready in 8 turns, won't be ready until 1942, I mean, maybe it would make a cross-channel invasion more difficult, but it's very unlikely I'd be able to get it into the Mediterranean where it would really be useful. So I think at this point it's a no, just because I don't know how I would use it. I could use it toward convoy raiding, but I'd have to get it past that massive British fleet we just fought. And we'd need more battleships just to do that. I don't think one carrier will tilt the balance in the naval action, so I'm going to say no. Okay, so we have a new unit, FSJ paratroopers. And the Italians have a new infantry corps and headquarters corps. So I guess we get to choose where we want to deploy it. Deploy that headquarters to North Africa. These guys have to be there as well, I guess. Okay, the paratroopers for Germany get to be deployed in Deutschland über alles. Maybe we deploy them in northern Germany for a strike on Copenhagen, because I think eventually we're going to have to go after Denmark. That actually might make sense to move some of our forces to the Danish border. Tanks are offensive weapons, not defensive, so we should make sure they're set up to do just that. We'll probably want some infantry up there, but spring of 1940, I guess I'll invade Denmark. Reinforcements, how expensive is this going to be? It's 106 to rebuild our Scheer. Our battlecruiser Scharnhorst will cost 82. Basically lose almost all the experience. Are there upgrades available? Is that why it says 1? And the Gneisenau was 68. So we just spent all our money reinforcing our navy. It could have been worse, but I think that's smart that we saved the money that we saved. So pulling our Deutschland out, I probably should... Well, actually, he's not on commerce rating at the moment. So move these guys further down the Canada line. Just got to keep moving things around. This guy only has 3 supply left, so he's probably going to have to pull back to Germany soon to resupply. But we now have 3 subs on the British supply lines. I may think about sneaking out... Yikes. I may think about sneaking some of our surface vessels out as well. Go ahead and pull our subs back. So we did lose a bit there, but subs are cheaper than destroyers, I think. Meanwhile, Germany's money is all gone. Italy has 85 left. Let's go ahead and reinforce our aircraft. And then we still have a little bit left. There you go. Better transport this way. So we'll get these guys on the French border shortly. And I think that's most of our money. I guess we can work on bringing the Italian fleet up to strength. Can only afford 1. That's a heavy cruiser. These are some subs. Okay. So getting some of our forces up to strength. Again, I probably would have done that carrier if it had been in the Mediterranean, but it wasn't. These guys are going to go here. I'm just kind of repositioning some forces along the borders. I like to kind of keep them in towns, is kind of my thought. Lutz is a big city, so it makes sense to have a garrison there. Maybe something in Krakow. We'll bring these guys back to their home country. And pull this guy out. Maybe put him at this crossroads here. Well, there's a town here too, so maybe we'll move these guys forward to this rail depot. Diplomacy, let's see where we're at. So USSR is only 6% behind the Allies. Looks like they've fallen a little bit more, maybe as a result of being kicked out of the USSR, or out of the League of Nations. Still working on Bulgaria. No money to build anything, but that will change very shortly now that we've rebuilt our navy. And, or reinforced our navy, and I think we're almost ready to go. We may need to go to war with Denmark shortly. That will probably anger a lot of countries, but I would like to get Copenhagen. Really, I'd like to take over Denmark, if only so we can start basing some air units here to protect our forces in the North Sea against British action, and then allow us to potentially invade Norway if necessary. I'm not sure if I'm going to invade Norway or not, but if necessary, I will do it in order to make sure we keep getting the resources and MPP that we need. We can start bombing the French if we want. Let's see here. Could bomb like Nancy or whatever. Can't reach Paris, it doesn't look like. Sedan. Let's try this. This is a mine, right? So what happens if we... French interceptors. Do we have escorts? Escorts, we do. Okay, so we lost some aircraft to fighter escorts. I think we're going to focus our bombing on like Metz and the northern kind of French forces. Although these Stukas are damn vulnerable, even just to ground fire from infantry. So I don't know if that makes a lot of sense to continue doing that. I don't see the point losing 10% of my force every single turn. I think they're good against armor, but they don't seem to be very good against infantry. Yeah, I think that about does it for this turn. Who's all in control? So these guys... This army controls these. Von Rundstedt is a 7 rating. Von Bock is a 6. I assume that means how many troops can be under his direct control. It looks like you've got these 6 units all kind of highlighted. Meanwhile, von Rundstedt might make sense to move to Mainz. He's currently got all of these under his control. Okay, I'll think about it. I'm sure this was a riveting episode, guys, but I'm going to go ahead and save. This is video 3. And we will continue shortly. I hope this guy was enjoyable. I'm kind of the opinion that I'll probably be doing less gameplay discussion and more historical discussion about what's going on, because this is going to be a long game. And I don't want everybody to be totally bored by me just kind of thinking through while I play this. So what I may do is record myself playing and then record over it at some point, maybe the invasion of Denmark, talk about historical points. I'm actually in the process of reading, I think it's William Shear's 1960, 1980 book called The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich. It is gigantic. Actually, if you get it on Audible, it's like 60, maybe 50 plus hours of just reading the book in like 8 parts. It's a huge book and really interesting so far. So I may talk about some stuff about the Third Reich or World War II or what have you. Thus far, I hope you guys have enjoyed. And until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching, and I'm out.